welcome to this tutorial for the liquid animation titles that you have purchased. So let's get right into it. Before we actually go into After Effects, let's just take a look at the folder structure. So once you download your file and you unpack it, you have your assets folder, your help files folder, your text presets, and your work files. In this folder you can find all your raw motion graphic files, the liquid strokes. They are black and white with an alpha channel, and you can color them in After Effects or a program like Adobe Premiere or Final Cut. The work files are in here. We'll get to that in a minute. You won't be seeing this one, but this one is for the sake of the tutorial. So let's go back here. And then we have our help files. So here you'll find this video tutorial and this README. It's important to read this first. Make sure you install this font before you start the After Effects project. And you can also install the preset, text preset that's included to this path in your computer, Windows or Mac, it's both in here. And one more tip, if you experience some slowness editing this template that can be caused by the text preset, there's a neat trick you can do in some of the versions of After Effects to make it smooth again, make it less slow. So with that being said, here's the text preset and you can drag it into your folder, which once again is outlined here. And without further ado, let's just go into After Effects right away. So here we are. So we have 4 compositions open. That might seem a bit confusing, but I will explain what this means. So we have a main composition. You will basically not be doing much here, maybe add in some music in this composition. The top layer here is adding an effect, as are these layers. So you won't need to edit them. Then if you want to edit your content, well, we go inside the content comp by double clicking or just by clicking on the content comp here. But before we go that, just quickly glance at this structure here. In the project window you can find all these comps, and as you can see they are the same. And you can find your text comps, let's close that, and your assets, and a folder with some files you better not touch because it's the files are used to make this template. And then we have our raw move files and our compositions with our liquid strokes. So with that out of the way, I want to show you the color comp. This is like a simple comp which outlines all the colors I've used. I will get here in a second to show you how you can change the colors. And last but not least, you have your preview all strokes here. So what you can do is scrub through the timeline and see all 110 elements animated in full. And you can copy them from here later on. So without further ado, let's just go in and explain how this works. So as I scrub through, you can see there's a lot of stuff happening, and it's actually pretty simple. If I scrub all the way to the top, you can see the orange layers are compositions which contain these liquid strokes, but in here they're white. So if I close that down and I go back to my content comp, you can see here they're not white. That's because in this comp they have tint effect enabled. What this does, this tints the black and white to these colors. So in that way it's very simple to change the colors for this template. For example, you have this blue color here. Well, it may be a bit tricky to find it at first. You'll get the hang of it. Here it is. So I selected it, I see the blue color. It corresponds with this stroke. You can turn off the eye switch to make sure it's correct, and yes it is. So how do I change the colors? I can either click here, and as you can see it's already changing, maybe to a red. You can see the red changing here, and change the red here as well. And now I've changed my colors. But there's a more easier way. Since I've outlined these colors in this comp, which all go pretty well with each other, I'll just pick maybe this pinkish color, and I click here, I select it, then I select the tint effect, and I do Command C or Control C on a Windows PC. I go back to my content comp and I just paste it, and you can see changed colors. And basically you can do that for any stroke you have. So maybe this green one, and we want that blue one. Let's check it out. Yep, I think it's that one. We copy it over, and now it's green. So in this way you can super fast and super easy change your colors very quickly. So as we scroll up top, you can see some green layers, excuse me, and some orange layers. One thing you have to remember is green layers are text layers, and orange layers are liquid strokes, those animated strokes that you see. So it may seem a bit cluttery, but actually it's making a lot of sense, but because you can move these strokes around very quickly to get your own effect. So let's say you think there's too much happening in the beginning. What you can do is turn off all of the strokes, or maybe make them happen a bit later, before the actual words come in, or after it. So now if you play this back, you can see the text is animating in first, and only after a while do all the strokes happen. So that's pretty cool. And then again, you can also play around with the spacing and how they come in front of the text or behind it. So let's pick the green one, and as you can see it's now behind the text, but we want it in front of the text. So I think this one is it. Let's move it around. Yep, that's it. Put it above the text, and oh, it actually needs to be above this text. And here you can see now it's animating above the text instead of behind it. So this way you can play around with it more. You could also rotate it, of course, maybe 180 degrees. And now you can see it changed directions. You can also drag it around, but as it animates out of the screen, you probably don't want to do that too much, because it will, you can see a hard edge happening here. It will suddenly chop it off. So the best way is just to keep it on 960 by 540, exactly in the middle. And well, maybe let's just rotate it back, and we're fine with that. So same goes for the text layers. You can move them around. I've animated them to the music now. So let's just go into our first text layer, which says liquid titles. Very simple. In here we have our liquid text layer. It has a lot of effects applied, as you can see. Most of it is just animation related stuff, the way it animates in. But as you can see, there are no position keyframes, rotation, or scale keyframes enabled. So you're allowed to move it around freely, and it will still maintain its original animation. So the way it animates out is because it's animated to this position layer, and it kind of animates towards the camera, and then it animates out. The way it animates in has to do with a text preset, which I will show you later on. first just demonstrate how quickly you can change this. So this is your text. I'm just double clicking the layers and I'm starting to type, and that's how I change them. Maybe change the anchor point to there. It's not really needed, but it's just something I do. And let's turn on our grid and make sure we have set them in the center. Switch off that null and let's turn it off. And okay, this is pretty good. So there's a small rotation applied that explains why they're slightly slanted. And you can turn it off, the italics and the rotation back to 0 if you like that better. But I kind of like this effect, so I keep it like this. So if we play this back, you can now see your text is changed. And if we play this back from the beginning, it's also working in this composition. So it's super simple to change your text. If you go back to our content, let's go to the next one. And here there is a little bit more happening. And as you can see, there is a transform position effect applied here, which animates in the text from left to right. From right to left, I'm sorry. But still, the original position is still untouched, so you can still drag it around, maybe here, and it will still animate in from right to left. So that's pretty easy. If you want to change the position, you can, or the animation of the position, you can hit U on your keyboard. Let's do that again. Oh, it's showing a lot of stuff now. Hit U once, and just select this keyframe, and you see this little crosshair here. Now let's just drag that to the left, and now it will animate from the left side as well, as you can see. But I liked it the way it was, so let's just put it to the right again, and there it goes. So pretty self-explanatory. The way this works is as well a Z position, which means it's coming into the screen. So I just recommend to not touch that, lock them to be sure. And now I will explain a little bit about the text animations. So let's say you want the text animation to happen earlier, you want it to look different. Well, all you have to do is select, for example, the template layer, and here, down here, I'll just minimize this. This is all stuff that we don't need, and this one as well. So you have your offset, your duration, your frequency, your decay, and these we won't use. But if you play around with your offset, for example, make this 2, you can already see it's changing. Maybe change the duration to 0.2. Always keep this one between 0.1 and 1 or something. Otherwise it won't look good. Frequency is the amount of bounces it gets. Decay is the speed at which the bounces stop. So already I changed some values, and you can see the word is already changing rapidly. So let's change this back to 1 and this to 0.5. Now let's increase the frequency and the decay as well. Let's see what we get now. So now the word is more you can see it's more rigid. But if I change the duration to 0.01 and the offset to 3, something else will happen. Now it's way more playful and dynamic, as you can see. So this way you can actually edit all the text animations, each of the text layers, has this effect applied, so you can play around with that. The way it works is that it starts animating in as the layer starts its in point. So let's say I don't want it to animate in until here. I'll just drag this to this side, and now it won't animate in here, but it will just animate in there. It will only start from that point. Well, let's say you think this effect is too heavy, but you still like the end of the effect. All you have to do is maybe, before it actually appears on screen, you can drag this out to the left. Let me demonstrate it with this one. You can maybe drag it outside of the comp a bit, and now the animation will happen a bit later, so it won't be as hard as first, but like very subtle, and you still retain your original animation. So that's a quick explanation for the text presets. So if you have installed your text preset, all you have to do is make a text layer and say my text or anything you like. Then we just make it italic. I rotate -8. I copy some of my effects. So I copy this tint, this emboss, and I put it on my text, so now it has the same effect. Let's go to our effect and presets window and just take a look at our text preset. So if we remember correctly, it's called motion fits text presets, and there it is. So make sure you have installed it, and if it doesn't show up here, make sure you install in the right folder, restart your After Effects, or hit this panel and hit refresh list. It will refresh this list. So just select the text preset, and we can select the layer and double click it, or we can just drag it on there, or drag it on here, or drag it in here. Doesn't matter. And let's change this to pink, and now you can see it's animating on. Now I want this text to move with this layer into Z space, so I'm parenting it to this layer, and then we undo that, and I'll just short it here. Now if we play this back, you can see my text is animating, and since I parent it to this layer, it's moving towards the camera as well, as you can see here where this is keyframed. So let's close that. Now maybe I want my text to look a little bit different, so I'll set the offset to 0.6, the duration to 0.3, the decay to 6, and the frequency to 2.2. I'm just making up these numbers, but you can experiment with them. So let's say I like that, I'm pretty cool with that. I just position it maybe more this way, I don't know. Let's go back to our content comp, and you can see I have edited my text right here. So pretty cool. So a quicker way to maybe duplicate text layers or text comps. Let's say you like this composition of text. Just go to the project window, go to your assets, to your main comps, to your text, and look out for text tree as we see here, and duplicate it here by pressing Command D or Control D on a PC. And now we have made a unique duplicate composition, which we can then drag into our content comp, and you can now edit this one without messing the original one, but you have the same animations happening, and this way you can just change the text really easy and fast and have your own text composition, which is unique from the other one. So you can set it off in time and let it happen somewhere else. So it's pretty easy if you go along with the template. Let's just delete this now. Every text composition is pretty easy. You can change any text you like. Change text. So that's that. So let me quickly show you how you start over. Let's just delete all the content we have in here. And for now, we're staying with this background, or well, let's change the background color to something else. Let's enable background 1, unlock it, and go to layer, solid settings, and change the background to more purple. So you can see it's getting more purple here. And let's start up from the ground off, and let's get our text 4 in here. We'll start with a text. So I'm going to do this really quick. I'm going to say hello, maybe make the letters all caps, set it off to the middle, hello, and let's go to our rendered. I say how, and then we go to our last word, are you. So really quickly, I'll set them off a bit, and this one right here, maybe a little bit more to the bottom. Like that. So now when you look back, we have hello, how are you? So let's accompany that with some liquid strokes. Let's get it a bit to the left. Perfect. So this looks a bit dull right now. So what we do is, you can either copy over all the liquid strokes from here, but if you want them all to have a color enabled already, just go to your colors comp, the preview all strokes comp, and let's just select some of these. I'm just holding Alt on my keyboard, or Command. I'm holding Command to select multiple of them. So I've selected a couple. Let's copy them, Command C, Control C on the PC, and go to our content comp, hit our text layer and hit paste. Now you can see them right now, so you hit your opening bracket, and now they'll all line up to here, and we'll just drag them around and see what looks good. Maybe I want this one to happen beneath the text, and just drag this from left to right, like this, like that, and oh, that's a nice one. Maybe I want this to happen. Invert it, and maybe I don't like that bluish green color, so I'll just go to my orange, to my colors comp, copy that tint effect, go to my content, make sure I select the right layer. That's not the right one, I want the bigger one. Where are you? Oh, there it is. Hit paste. Now let's just pre-render this and see what it looks like. So as you can see, this is like 1 minute of work. It's very fast and it's very easy and fun to do. So now we preview this and we can see we have a pretty nice coloring text animation going on. It's kind of filled up, but I like it. Maybe I don't like that red color, so I'll change that back, and then yellow. Oh, that's not the one. Which one is it? This one. So and that's it. Just within seconds or minutes, you make your own text animations. It's really fun to do, and you can copy the text layers endlessly and make a very large lyrical video or anything you'd like. Let's play this back. So it's pretty easy. If you take the time, pick out your colors and pick out the right strokes, you can make it look even more clean or maybe even more chaotic. It's just what you like. I think this is it. If you're done, make sure you go to your main comp, and from here you want to go to composition, add to render queue, or if you're working in After Effects CC, you can add it to your Adobe Media Encoder render queue and render it from there. It's pretty simple. If you want to add in some music, just import your music in here, drag it under the main comp, and that's about it. It's very simple. So I hope you find this tutorial useful. If you have any questions, then you can email me at info@motionfits.com or just shoot me a message to my profile page. Yeah, and that's it. Happy customizing.
Subscribe to our channel by clicking the subscribe button. Click the bell button and enjoy the latest uploads from our channel.